How are you today, Ruben? Okay.
Fine, thank you.
So don't think no one else is here besides you. We actually have three guys who came to the room. So my bracha to you is that you'll join us as well when the time comes. Okay. So we're now on Daf Tzadi Amid Beis. And yesterday we began the Mishnah on Daf Tzadi Amid Beis, but not the first Mishnah, the second Mishnah. And does he add any words there?
Plaster.
Plaster we had, mud we had, clay we had.
Loam.
Loam. I don't know what that means. Okay.
That's another
I
thing.
guess.
Clay and
all right. So the question is whether mud is a chatzitza. All right, fine. So we are now in the middle of this Mishnah. So we did the first part of the Mishnah.
You want to start it over?
Yeah, we're going to start it over again. But I just want to show you officially where we're up to. I like to indicate. And we're up to the second half of the Mishnah, which is Ben Tesha. And that's the end of the first of the wide lines. So, but we're going to go back to the first case. So yesterday, we had an extensive study of the introduction to this Mishnah. And that introduction was based on a Mishnah which we didn't learn back on Daf Lamed Aleph Amid Beis that has to do with a concept called Zikas Shnei Yevamot, which is a situation in which, paradoxically, a woman falls to Yibum from two different brothers to the third brother. How's it possible that a woman could fall to Yibum at the same time from two different brothers? So we're talking about a case of three brothers that marry three different women. They're not related to each other. One of them dies, and the second brother, we'll call him Shimon, does Maimar with Ashes Ruvain. And then he dies. So at this point, after Maimar, the status of Ashes Ruvain is a very complex status because Shimon, so to speak, married Ashes Ruvain after Ruvain's death. That marriage is called Maimar. Might even be Bal Karcha, could be even against her will, whatever it is. So now, when Shimon dies, she, the wife of Ruvain, is now also at the same time the wife of Shimon. Because on a Doraisa level, the marriage between Shimon and the wife of Ruvain, we'll call her Sarah, is not recognized. The Torah doesn't recognize that marriage. So she's still married to Ruvain. But on the other hand, on a Rabbanan level, she's married to Shimon because Shimon did a Maimon. And the Rabbanan recognized the validity of that Maimon. So when Shimon dies, this woman, we'll call her Sarah for the time being, falls to Yibum for both Ruvain on a Doraisa level and Shimon on a Rabbanan level. Ruvain because she's married to Ruvain and now Ruvain dies. And Shimon because Shimon created a fictitious, shall we say, or a rabbinic marriage through Maimon. And now she becomes HS Shnei Yevamot. And we pointed out that the Torah says, Umeis Echad Mihem, which means that she was married to one of the brothers, and then he died, but not to two of the brothers. Here's a case of a woman who is simultaneously married to two brothers, both of whom died. And the Nefilah for Yibum comes through both of these brothers, one on a Doraisa level, that's Ruvain, and the other on a Drabbana level with the Maimar of Shimon. And in such a case, the Rabbanan paskin that there is no Yibum. That's the part that we looked that up yesterday. I don't have Lamed Aleph. Do you have Lamed Aleph in your Gemara? Lamed Aleph Amid Beis. Do you remember from
Right.
yesterday?
Right, so we had the Mishnah, so
What was
both require chalitza, but cannot.
okay? They both require chalitza. That's Eishes Ruvain and Eishes Shimon, but no yibum. So let's focus on why there's no yibum, and the answer is because she now becomes Eishes Shnei Yevamot, at least on a drabanan level. Now, what's the status of, we'll call her Rivka, the other wife of Shimon? When I say the other wife, I mean because Eishes Reuben is sort of quasi married to Shimon through Maimer, and now Shimon has another wife. L'chora, she should fall for Yibum, but she can't fall for Yibum because the Rabbanan say we recognize Maimer, and to the extent that we recognize Maimer, so 1 second, let me get this straight. Then she becomes a tsaras erev to Levi. Just 1 second, let me just work this out. The case of what? Of Eishes Yevamot. That's as far as what? That's as far as Sarah is concerned. Now Rivka becomes a tsaras erev. Is that what goes on here? Second. I'm gonna work with that assumption. If I'm proven wrong, we'll take it back. But right now, that's what I think happened. Now we get to Reb Shimon, right? And Reb Shimon says that he's miyabim whichever woman he chooses to be miyabim, whether it's Sarah Eishes Ruvain or Rivka Eishes Shimon, and then he gives chalitza to the other one. And this is not considered, as far as Sarah is concerned, to be Eishes Shnei Yevamot. And why is that? Because if Maimar is Kona, a Kinyan, a regular full-fledged Kinyan, then she is the Yevama of Shimon. If, on the other hand, the Maimar is meaningless, then she falls to even from Reuven. She doesn't fall for even from both the brothers. So therefore, the bottom line is that there's no Zika Shnei Yevam. That's the Shita of Rabbi Shimon. The Rabbanan hold that the status of Maimar is a kind of quasi half-baked Kinyan. It is a Kinyan, it's not a Kinyan, but it's not either or. It is what it is. It's a Kinyan D'Rabbanan. And that makes her into Eishes Shnei Beis, because on a D'Oraisa level, she's falling to even from Reuven. You follow me? Okay. Now we get to our Mishnah, the Reish of our Mishnah, and that's Bias Katan, Ben Tesha. And the status of Bias Katan is equal to that of Maimar Begadol. Okay, now, how does Bias Ben Katan plug in to Zika Shnei Yevam? Again, we have three brothers married to three different women. Reuven dies, but in this case, Shimon is a katan, and he has bia with her, with Sarah. And his bia is equal to that of Maimon. Now, once we upgrade the bias bentesha, the cotton bentesha, to that of Maimar, we now, according to the Rabbanan at least, have dug. We've dug up from the dust the old problem of Zika Shnei Yevamot. Why? Because now Sarah, to some extent, is Eshes Shimon, even though Shimon is all of 9 years old. But since his bia is upgraded, is equal to the status of Aimar, therefore she becomes Eshes Shnei Yevamot. On a Deraisa level, she's Eshes Ruvain, and the Zikas Ruvain. On the Rabbanan level, since we recognize the bia of the katan of Shimon, she becomes Zikas Shimon. So she now has a Zika through two brothers. And if I remember correctly, and please, if I'm wrong, let me know, the Mishnah on Daf Lamed Alpha in Beis, according to Rabbanan, said Choletzes v'lo Masechet Yevamot, correct? Oh, so do we apply that same yardstick to the case of Bias Katan? And the answer is yes. Look at our Mishnah. Bentesha Shana B'Yomech, Shabal Yivim To Meis. Choletzes v'lo Masechet Yevamot. Her status now, this Sarala, is equal to Zika Shnei Yevamot. And therefore there's no possibility of Yibum. She must have Chalitza because on a Deraisa level she falls for Yibum through Reuven. Despite the fact that Shimon, little Shimon, had Bia with her, but that's not a Deraisa Kinyan, and therefore she is Ashes Reuven. And she falls for Yibum to Levi. Now we're up to Nasa Ish. See that? On the second line in the Mishnah, which is the first of the wide lines in the Gemara. Nasa Isha Umes. So this is an obvious case. I mean, we're talking about a Katan Ben Teisha, and he marries a woman. His marriage is not valid. So if he dies, she doesn't fall for even to the brothers because there was no Ishus. And the Chiddush here of the Mishnah is that even though we recognize halachically on a Doraisa level, Bias Katan Ben Teisha, that's only as far as our rayos is concerned. Let's say, for example, again, this is a strange case, but a married woman would have a relationship with a katan who's 9 years old. On a doraisa level, she's chayav for that. We can't put him to death because he's only 9, but she would be put to death. So as far as dini arayos is concerned, to recognize his bia as a bia, once he's ben teisha miyomecha, then that's what we do. But as far as kinyanim or kedushin is concerned, he is not qualified to create a kedushin because he's not a bar das. Okay. Now, ben teisha shalom yom echet sheba al yivimto. Umishehigdil nasa isha cheres. So the first wife is what? Is like Maimar Begadol. So there's a kind of a quasi-marriage relationship. Not a full-fledged marriage relationship. But then he married another woman after he became a Gadol. And he died. Now, I'm just curious. Do you have a photocopy of page Gimel? No. Okay. So I'll read it out loud, but first we'll go through the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Im lo yada es harishona mishehigdil, meaning that the Katan's Kinyan to the Yavama is still that quasi Kinyan because all we have is that one Bia when he was still a Katan. We do not have a Bia with that same woman after he became a Gadol. Is therefore Harishona Choletzes v'lo Misyabenes. One second. How many brothers do we have here? We have the Ben Tesha, Ba'al Yuvimta. And then he marries another woman after he becomes a Gadol. So I'm going to have to use this diagram. Let's hope it'll be okay. So what happens here? We have three brothers, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Levi is 9 years old, it said. Now, Levi but we'll leave out Levi now. So it said Levi is 9 years old. Now, I'm not sure why it's Shimon here. It's confused me a little. But anyway, Shimon marries Sarah. Shimon dies, and Sarah falls for Yibum. So again, Sarah is now the wife of Shimon, and Shimon dies. The Yibam Levi es Sarah. But Levi, we said, is 9 years old. So he's not capable of doing Yibum. But mikevon shebias katan chashuva kemaimar nimtza shelo nifkaa adayin misara zikas Shimon. That's although we do recognize the bia of a katan in the case of the yavam, and we upgraded it to the status of maimar, but nevertheless, as far as any zika from Shimon is concerned, that zika is still alive and active. Because on a Doraisa level, you don't recognize the bia, the yibum of Levi, because he's a 9-year-old. Okay, now the plot goes thick. Of Yachkach Higdil Levi. Now Levi becomes bar mitzvah. V'nosas Rivka. Lo Baal Sarah li'achar shehigdil. So he didn't have any relationship with Sarah after she became Zigdola, just that one relationship that he had with her when he was a cut. Umeis Levi below Banim. V'naflu nashav lifnei Ruvain li'yibum. Let's see if we can analyze this case, right? So Levi has 2 wives, one of which was his Yavama through Shimon, that he had consummated Yibum as a 9-year-old. Which means that the Zika of Shimon is still alive and well with regard to Eshes Shimon. What was her name, Eshes Shimon? Oh, we called her Sarah for some reason. I don't know why exactly, but again, so she's Sarah. So now Levi is, so to speak, miyaven, right, in inverted commas. He's in miyaven Sora Eshes Shimon. And when he gets bar mitzvah, he marries another woman. Do we have her name? What was her name?
Oh, yeah.
We gave her name Leah. So it looks like I just want to get his name here. Rivka. He calls her Rivka. Okay. So Levi now marries Rivka. Okay. Now Levi dies. And Rivka and Sarah fall for Yibum to Reuven. Let's just think about it. As far as Rivka is concerned, that's straightforward Yibum, right? But the complication is Sarah. Why? Because Sarah is now Zuka through Shimon. So why is that a problem? Because of Esha Shnei Mason. Am I right? Right, because this fellow Levi had implemented a kiddush with Sarah. So Sarah is not only Eshes Shimon, she's also Eshes Levi. So let's see what he says about this. L'dasa Tanakama, Sarah Asura LeRuven, Charehis Kuka Mikoch Shnei Yevamot. Okay, we're not doing so bad. After learning Yevamos for how many months? Probably say something intelligent. And why is she Kuka Mishnei Yevamot? Gami Shimon, V'gami Levi. And we said that Eshes Shnei Mesim, on the one hand, you can't have Yibum because on the Drabbana level, it's Shnei Mesim. The Torah says, Umeis, what does it say there? Umeis Echad, man, right? But on the other hand, on the Doraisa level, she's not Eshes Shnei Mesim. She needs Chalitza. The other one, that's we said was Rivka, she for sure needs Chalitza. Then he writes, Aval Rivka Muteres LeRuven, Becholetzes Omis Yavenos. But this confuses me. How could there be Yibum? That's straight Yibum, right? But wait a minute, but the Eshes Shnei Mesim is only for who? So. Now wait a second. Is there a moment in which both Sarah and Rivka are married to Levi? Because that would be a problem because of Tzar's error. Do you follow me? Meaning, if there's no error, there's no error here. There's no error. Okay, that's good. Okay. Sarah is Yevamot. Wait a minute, I don't get it. That isn't Sarah's name, no? Sarah is Eshes Shnei Yevamot, which means that there's no Yibum. She'll only need Chalitza because we don't the Torah doesn't recognize the bia of the katan, which is like mine. on a Deraisa level, but on a Drabbana level, we have to consider her marriage to Levi, even though he was only a Ben Tess, because the Rabbana recognized that as a Maimon. So then Sarah is married, so to speak, to both Reuven and to both, let me get the names right, both, is married to both Shimon and Levi. Well, what's bothering you?
Well, if she's still considered to be married to Shimon, she couldn't marry. There's an error.
No, you see the point. She falls for Yibum because Levi is Reuven's brother. So she falls for Yibum to Levi. No. What am I saying? Forget about Reuven. What I meant to say is because Levi is Shimon's brother. So Shimon was married to Sarah. What did he say? And therefore, there's Yibum to Levi. So I don't understand what you're saying about Nervin. The only question is whether or not we recognize the Bia of Levi as a Katan as Yibum.
Right, but how would she ever be? Why would she be an Arava to Reuven?
Because she was married to both Shimon and to Levi.
Yeah, but then Shimon died, then she's married to Levi. Levi dies.
No. Again, what did Levi do? Levi did a Bia as a Bentes. So is that a marriage to Levi or not? On a Deraisa level, it's not. On a Drabbana level, it is. From the Rabbanan's perspective, that's Sarah, is Eshes Levi, but on a Deraisa level, she's Eshes Shimon. That takes me back to Eshes Shnei Yevamot. And therefore, Rivka, the other wife of Shimon, is a Tzaras Arab. He says, "V'eina asura b'shum tzara shel Sarah," and he's talking about Rivka. Shabia shel Levi Akatan. Shabia shel Levi Akatan. Next word here. Sarah. Eino chashuva kol kach. Honestly, I don't know what that means. Uledas Rabbi Shimon, Gam Sora Atzma Muteres, right? He rejects this whole concept of Masechet Yevamot. Shaldaito Gam Skuka Mishnei Yevamot Muteres. L'chein Reuven miyabem achas miyam, b'ashniya tzricha chalit. Yeina shniya nifteres al yidei rishonim, because it's shnei batim, I think. Let's see, Sharei, Eino tzorasa, Shesara no fels mikoch Shimon, but Rivka no fels mikoch Levi, shnei batim. Umikol makom, Eino rashoy liyabem es hashniya, me'achar ve'hein tzoros, b'miktzas machmas bias hakoton, shehi kemayim. Okay. So let's see how to fit this into the language of the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, "Ventesha shan b'yomethet shabal yivimto misha higdil nasa isha keres who makes lo yoda es harishona misha higdil harishona choletzes lo misyavdemis." Again, this is because of the Rabbanan Shita of Eshes Shnei Achim, and we're equating Bias Kotem Ben Tes to Maimon. He says, Mishum Sheyesh Oleh Zika Shnei Yevamot. So basically, this second case in the Mishnah is a hemshech of the Reish of the Mishnah. Ashniya. Now, Levi married another woman after he became a gadol. Ochol letzes, omis yabemis. There's no reason why she shouldn't fall for Yibum to Reuben. She might be Tzaras Ereva. So that was our question before. We're saying that Bias Cotton can't make her into a Tzaras Ereva. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Miyavim le'ezo sheyirtze, v'chol eitz l'shnit. So if Shimon doesn't recognize the category of Eshes Shnei Mesim, because he holds that Bias Katan, like Maimer Begadol, is a suffix. We don't know whether it is a full-fledged kinyan or it's not, or it's nothing at all. If it's a full-fledged kinyan, then as far as the Zika to Shimon is concerned, that Zika is history. And therefore, she, Sarah, is Ashes Levi, who falls for Yibam to Reuven. If, on the other hand, Bias Kata B'Tesha Kid, Maimar is nothing, it's not a kinyan, so then she's Ashes Shimon. So we have two women falling for Yibam to Reuven. We have Ashes Shimon, which is Rivka, and we have Ashes Levi, which is Rivka, and we have what's her name, Sarah, who's Ashes Shimon. Because the B of what you call it of Levi is zero. Echad shehu ben Teisha shalom yom echad echad shehu ben Esrim shelo hevi shtei saros. He says there's no difference between a cotton ben Tes or a 20-year-old that doesn't have shtei saros. Because without simonim of saros, he still has the status of a cotton. I just want to read one little thing, and then that was Rabbi Shimon Choleg Gam B'Dinshal Hareish of a Katan Chabal Yevimto Upes. Besover Shemutal Yavmo Kevet She'ein La Zika Shnei Yevamim. That's the Mimonashach, I think. She Maimer Kona Legam Arei Eish Sakatan with Maimer and Kona Klal Arei Sarishon V'Yesh La Rak Zika A. And this would lead us to Omar Rav, correct? Which is the beginning of the Gemara on the, what is it, the fifth line, the sixth line of the Gemara. But we ran out of time. So it's really, if you take yesterday's shir, together with today's shir, we basically covered one Mishnah. And I'm afraid that when it comes to tomorrow, 24 hours from now, 23 hours from now, we're going to have to start with the Mishnah again. But I can't do that. We got to move on. So b'li neder, I'm going to try to do a little bit of Chazorah on this Mishnah with all its complexity, so that we can start on Marov. I'd like you to do the same. I don't usually give homework assignments, but in this case, that's what I think I want to do. Okay, then, so we can possibly start tomorrow's what, Tuesday?
Yep.
Okay. So I spoke to you about that possibility of Wednesday, so we'd start a little bit later. Because they called me from the OU center.
Do you mind?